Growth rate of the world is on an average 3%. Pharma industry CAGR is 6%. Indian pharma industry, if you see, is 12%. Right? So it is structurally that even if you do nothing and if you just sit tight, you are going to grow. There will be opportunities, there will be things happening and all that. And over time, given our advantage, and this, it is also boosted by another big fact, which is you all.
There is an encouragement for same. We have internal job posting, and if you are willing to switch, I don't think the leaders hold you. They also understand that you have given what you should have given in that department, and they do encourage that. If you want to do a shift, that's always there.
If you look at the way pharma industry has also grown, Indian pharma was predominantly generics. People have ventured into specialty, and now there are digital therapeutics coming. So ultimately, it's all about how our patients are performing.
Awesome. Okay, guys. So we have three very different speakers here. We'll first start with their introduction, and then we deep dive in the agenda that we want to discuss with them today.
So guys, my name is Suresh Rai. So I look after HR, the people in Sun Pharma.
Hi everyone, I'm Shankar Agarwal. I work in supply chain in Sun Pharma.
Yeah, hi, I'm Kunal. I'm part of global operations team looking at their digital projects. Yeah.
So we already looked into what Sun Pharma is. That Mentimeter was also very helpful. But we'll just quickly elaborate on it a little more, and then we talk about the roles that they do and how they got into Sun Pharma and why are they into, in the pharma industry, and why did they choose this as a career, and what are some potential options that you can choose to get into after your B school journey. So Suresh, we'll start with you. So if you have to kind of elaborate more on what is already discussed in the Mentimeter about Sun Pharma, so you can do that.
Sure. So guys, just starting off with high level, हमारे culture में ये है कि 100 years of life, right? So we have this Brahmacharya ashram, then there was a family ashram, फिर Vanprasth, and then Nirvana ashram, right? And which was about 100 years of life. Anyone can guess when we got independence, 1947, what was our average lifespan in India? So it's around 32 odd, right? And so just imagine that from 32 in a nation's journey, from 47 to 2025, now we are at about 67. And our ambition is to go to 100, right? That's what we, all of our scriptures keep saying, 100 year of life. And also you will see a lot of Harvard and all that studies happening around how do you have long life. Already there are places in Japan, in Italy and all that, and if you keep drinking a lot of wine, you might live longer, right? So as they say. So everybody is looking at, how to elongate, and jahan hai to jahan hai, right? So you can enjoy the world if life is there. If there's no life, then you are dead and gone, finish. In many ways, I think this is where we fit in, is as Sun Pharma, is so we provide medicines, we provide the medicinal support. Now, obviously, we don't, given a choice, we would not wish any Sun Pharma on anyone, which means we do not want you to be taking pills. We want you to be very, very healthy and have a great life, 100 years without taking anything. But we know that in real life, most human beings have some vices, right? Sometimes we overeat, we love carbohydrate, we love our dose of so different things. That is where our support comes in, and which increasingly is, and just to give you a sense, is in the world there are different type of industries. Some, if you remember, coal industry, some of the mining industry and all that is, had been more or less like a sunset industry, right? Everybody is fighting that, because of carbon dioxide, no more coal, shut down the coal mines. Much of the developed world has done that. Developing world are fighting that please allow us to use coal energy till 2070. And, so all those things are happening. And different realities for different countries and different industries. Now, pharma is one industry which has a strong tailwind behind it. It is one of the structural. So it's not as cyclical that suddenly we eat a lot of medicines and now next 3 years no medicine. So if you see GDP of the world, the GDP growth rate of the world is on an average 3%. Pharma industry CAGR is 6%. Indian pharma industry, if you see, is 12%. Right? So it is structurally that even if you do nothing, and if you just sit tight, you are going to grow. There will be opportunities, there will be things happening and all that. And over time, given our advantage, and this, it is also boosted by another big fact, which is you all, the young population. So India, the demographic dividend, we will continue to enjoy till 2042 odd, around that. So we have still good time to enjoy, we will stay young and all that. But much of the world, you go to Japan, you go to Europe, you go to US, is getting older. And as you get older, you consume more medicines and all that. And much of the supply is going from likes of us. So that is why if you see, Indian pharma industry, we saw here in the quiz, actually, although I would have flunked half of the questions, I would have been rock bottom. So congrats to the guys who know more about Sun Pharma than me. So today, the industry in Indian industry is 65 billion, will be about 120 billion by 2030. And as per, if you see the Viksit Bharat roadmap, which the government has made working with the industry, we will be 500 billion, 500 billion by 2050. 2047 is the end state over there. So which is a huge growth, guys. So that is where we fit in, is where we, if you look at as Sun Pharma, we are 6 billion. And again, this is all started off by Mr. Dilip Shangvi, and he knows more about science than scientists. He knows more about, and he's just a BCom. But he has learned each and everything. He knows more about factory processes than engineers. So he's amazing. So just one guy who started off from scratch in 42 years has made it 6 billion, which is huge. And just to give you a little more granular sense on the company is also another thing is, it is just like IT industry. This is one of those huge dollar earners for the country. So from that perspective, in many ways, it's an exciting industry. It's hugely growing and, structurally growing. That is there. And there are, again, amazing amount of opportunities, and which some of which Kunal and our friend can, elaborate more. And also it's a very nice diversified, which means there is a good mix of all the functions. There is a strong R&D, there is a strong marketing, there is a strong sales, there is a strong logistics, supply chain. There are 41 factories across the world, and we are present in 100 odd countries. So which is an exciting place to be in. So this is, I'll just stop here, but hopefully that this gives you a sense of what is happening around the world in the industry and in the company.
Awesome. That's a pretty great overview. And two things really interested me. One thing, the nature of pharma industry, you talk about how it creates a tailwind and it's not cyclical in nature, right? I'm sure that gives a rise to a lot of job opportunities. And because of the R&D nature and the constant innovation and increasing infrastructure or more developed in supply chain infrastructure in India, I'm sure it has like job sectors in different sectors, like different domains. So that I want to actually double click on with both of them. So before doing that, I'll quickly want you to share your journey. How did you land up in Sun, and what do you exactly do?
So before joining Sun, I was working in a FMCG company, worked there for 5 years, then thought that, okay, it's time for me to get more understanding of how the industry works, did my MBA. Sun was a very good opportunity for me because the learning which I have learned from my previous work, that is in FMCG, it was very easy to apply in a pharma industry. And that is what excited me, that, okay, we have worked in pharma industry for 5 years, let's try to do something in FMCG, and let's try to work in pharma, and hence part of Sun.
So I have a pretty different trajectory. So broadly, I've worked across 3 different industries. I started with telco. So I was part of a company which manufactures software. It's the world's largest software manufacturer for telcos, Amdocs. Worked there for 3 years in their R&D team in India. Did my MBA. Then moved to a startup kind of a culture in fintech and mobile banking. Did that for 5 years. Then again moved it for 1.5 years in a financial markets place. It was also kind of a smaller firm. I think everyone has a different way of looking at what they want to do. Everyone has their own journey. So personally for me, what happened was when I completed my engineering, I was a computer science IT graduate. So I wanted to be in tech for some time, not directly go into or do an MBA. That's a personal call. Everyone has a different view. So that's when I was with a telco firm for 3 years. Then the point that I had was I can do pretty well, or I will proceed in this career, or I want to change my trajectory. So there were two options. One was I can go and do an MS, which was the easier option for me. And a lot of my friends were actually angry at me that why don't you do a PhD or an MS? Why do you want to do an MBA? But I realized that if you want to understand it from a holistic point of view, tech will only lead you to a software or a problem. You will never understand who the users are, what actually they want. So that was one of the reasons that and that has been my North Star, I think, after my engineering. What actually users want, what actually people want. So did my MBA. So I think in MBA what happened, all of us, and I'm sure you guys will also have that same thing when you go in. You want to have a good placement, you want to have a good career. I was no different. I also chased that. I interned with a bulge bracket firm in my internship, but realized that I want to do something more. I don't want to be in finance or maybe other things that the day 01 I didn't want, even though I was the first guy to get placed at campus. So, but I didn't like that thing. I wanted to do something where I can grow with the company. So that's when I went into a startup, and Sun has also been a startup kind of a journey for me, which we can talk about as we go forward.
Awesome. That's pretty helpful. That decision-making aspect is what I wanted to highlight with your journey. Speaking of that, Uma, you graduated from IIM Bangalore. And did you always, and you have some work experience if I'm not wrong, right? Yeah. So how was your transition from your previous role, then going to IIM Bangalore, then eventually landing up in Sun as a management trainee and then working your way up? So just wanted to understand how that was. And what was your use case? I mean, what made you select pharma as the industry that you want to build a career in?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, I did work for 5 years I was working in Dabur, and my role there was mainly based out of plant. 5 years trying to understand the engineering and the production side. Then lately it hit me that if I keep on working here, I might stick to understanding what happens in a manufacturing unit. And as Kunal mentioned, that everyone is hungry to know more, get out of that box. Try to understand that, okay, whom are you serving, how the joints are connected, links are connected. That is when it struck me that, okay, 5 years, it's not too late. We can still do MBA and try to take a career trajectory, as Kunal mentioned. Hence the decision to do MBA. After that, one thing that hit me was whatever I've learned, I do not want to waste it. I want to go somewhere where I can get the opportunity to use this, what I've learned, and at the same time grow with the organization. Hence, Sun Pharma was a very good opportunity because, as I said, that whatever I've learned as a part of supply chain, I could take that, and Sun was giving me that platform that, okay, show us what you can do. That helped. In 2 years of my journey, first year, the best part was you are not given directly a role that, okay, 1 year you will be working in this department and that's it. But we were having multiple stints. So that gave us an opportunity to explore various departments, sub-departments, cross-function you want to work with. That is one thing. During the first year of MT journey, I was part of a project which was new to this entire industry. So that is something different which we can talk about later. Apart from that, a very good thing which at least I have faced was I was able to speak with the leaders that what I want, where I want to work with, and what I want to do. So there was this discussion that happened, okay, that my manager said, I want you to be part of this department. And I was a bit adamant, are you sure you want me to be here? Are you sure I can add value? Do you want me to be part of this department? And that is where the visions of the leaders comes in, that I know where I want you, take your time, think through it, and I'm working in that department for more than 6 months. I'm happy that he made me work in it. So that is how Sun gives you opportunity and helps you create impact.
Maybe I'll just add on career. So look, many times it's a very special feeling where you guys are. कि मम्मी पापा रिलेटिव सब ने बोला कि वाह तुमने तो तोड़ दिया लाइफ में, यू आर नाउ एट द कस्प ऑफ, कि क्या मार दिया, क्रैक कर दिया एग्जाम को, यू विल गो एंड लाइफ इज सेट. एंड आई एम श्योर 3 years के बाद तुम बोलोगे ये क्या सेट है यार, दिस मतलब वी आर अगेन बैक टू वेयर वी वर. So I'll give you some transitions, similar on a similar note. That look, lot of things happen in life. Serendipity. वो अपने आप हो जाता है. You cannot really plan your life. So many things keep changing that. So I'll give you some transition moments in a very quick. When I was very young, look, my dad was in army. And when I was very young, this was like 1970s, 80s. So in that time, there were a lot of these Russian books and all that. So I used to read, I used to love Russia very much. I used to think, I should become ambassador to Russia. I started learning Russian language. I bought my own book at that time from one bookshop, English to Russian thing. And I wanted to watch most, this is the bridge. So like that. So you did something. Then I got interested in astronomy. I said, nahi yaar, astronomy to zyada fun hai. This is more fun. I did a lot of astronomy for 3-4 years. I wanted to become an astronomer. While doing that, I discovered physics is very interesting yaar. So then I said, okay, physics interesting है, तो चलो फिर engineering अच्छी लगने लगी. मैं बोला चलो engineering कर लेते हैं. वो करके then I went to IIT Delhi. IIT Delhi में जाकर after 4 years, nobody from my batch wanted to leave IIT Delhi. Everybody said, यहीं इतना मजा आ रहा है यार, बाहर क्या करेंगे? बाहर there's a big bad world, and हम बिछड़ जाएंगे, all these friends, right? So that is when you think nobody wanted to leave IIT Delhi, after 4 years कि यार यहीं रखना है. फिर लेकिन ये हुआ कि parental pressure, societal कि यार कुछ करना है भैया, either do your MS at that time, go abroad, or you join a job or do this thing. Some people said civil services karna hai. So like that. So the thing is, then people chalo jhatke vatke mein, some people went, and then now today if I look at it, hardly 5% people are doing engineering. So only most people have gone into some very, very vague. Somebody is a public speaker, somebody is an entrepreneur, somebody is a bureaucrat, like that. And if I look at my own life, I joined P&G at that time in supply chain. As an engineer, I loved instrumentation engineering. But after 4 years, I came across a book called Designing Organizations for High Performance. And I was always very curious, how can we make system even better, interesting, combining machine, method, people. And then, I said, chalo HR kar lete hain. So after 5 years, actually I had gotten married. My wife was very angry that, after marriage you are again want to study. So then, so I said, nahi karna hai yaar. So we went, and till today I hear the, so she still nags me for that one decision. But the thing is, I went to Excel. We did HR. Since then I feel ki, ye meri calling hai. Is I feel that this is really fitted into the thing. But in HR also, every 2 to 3 years, I had joined Unilever at that time, and then kept on moving across the world, different places and all that. But every time things just kept happening. It was not something that you planned ki ye karna hai or wo karna hai. So a lot of time you will have your life in control 30-40% time, but 60% of the time it will not be in your control. So just be aware of this. The good thing and the fun of life is to let it flow. Flow with the thing. Thoda sa you can guide the thing, ye karenge, wo karenge, but lot of it will flow on its own. You will not be able to control. So just keep that in your mind. So while we try to structure, we plan, but as they say, man, women proposes and God deposes. So some of that happens in real life. Yep.
Perfect. So Uma, you mentioned that you had some autonomy over where you want your career trajectory to be inside Sun, right? And since Sun deals with so many different sectors, how easy, or if you have some examples of people started out as something else and then eventually segued into something internally because they wanted to, how often does that happen?
There are 2 aspects to this. First thing is you need not change your role as such. If I take my example, suppose I'm dealing with dispatch planning, but the boundary is so fluid that sometimes I'm working with demand planners, sometimes I'm working with the warehouse. I take projects from the demand planners that let's do this together. Working with warehouse, okay, can this be done? So in that way, though a name, a tag has been given of what you are doing, which department you are working, but there are no boundaries. That is one thing. Second thing, what you ask for internal change. So there is an encouragement for same. We have internal job posting, and if you are willing to switch, I don't think the leaders hold you. They also understand that you have given what you should have given in that department, and they do encourage that. If you want to do a shift, that's always there as an opportunity.
Kunal, I wanted to ask you one thing. So, how does digital transformation look like in Sun Pharma? And in pharma industry, what are some potential probably career options that it opens up because of the increased focus and attention to the same sector?
When someone say digital transformation, we have to understand one thing. It's not just about systems. So anywhere, any system will hardly be 10 to 20% of the overall transformation that you will run. 80% will be human beings and processes. Like in earlier days, you guys are also going to campuses, they will teach you. There is process, there is system, then there is technology. Process and system is what will drive everything. And at a lot of time, what has happened earlier, the process and systems were not that pragmatic, or they were not that at that stage that you can have systems coming in and doing it. If you look at, I come from a telco background as well as a fintech background. So there are also external factors to any industry. If the external factors are like, if you talk about, say, the regulator here, RBI, they are very bullish on banks to become digital. They want everything to be available to the customers. So you have to change. That was not that strongly done by the auditors or the regulators in pharma industry earlier. Now they are also changing. Because what happens in pharma, it will directly impact the life of a patient. In banks, what happens? If the money is not in your account, you get to know immediately. In pharma, you will get to know 10 years down the line. Like you guys would have gone through the COVID era. There was a risk, right? That 10 years, 15 years down the line, whatever vaccine you are taking, what impacts it will have on you. So same thing has happened. So now at least auditors and regulators have become a bit relaxed, and people have also started understanding that if we change processes, it is for doing something better. And if that doing better can be done by a system, let's do it via a system, whether we call it digital, whatever we call it. If it's a process, let's do it by a process. So that's where everything is now coming in, where the digital transformation is becoming like the centerpiece, but there are all these processes and engineering stuff going around it.
So again, look, maybe I'll just add one bit on this is, look, digital transformation is happening all around us across the world. So this is not only here, and there might be, and as I say that, look, many times we say future ready, future mein hoga ye cheez. That future is already behind you in many companies and some countries. And that future is today already there in some countries and some companies. And it will be in future in some countries and some companies. So in fact, if you see all this excitement on UPI and all that, I was in China in 2008 and 2011. All of this was there in WeChat and lot more. So WeChat thing, all these, chota, your sabji wala and this wala having. So we feel, so this was in China in 2008, guys. If you go to Europe, last year we were roaming around in Nordics. Everywhere, half of the places, they want cash. They want cash because wo machine is not working or something is not working. So the things that we normally understand as digital and all that is there and is not there. It is very person dependent, company dependent, country dependent, right? So that is there. Now on that front, I would say almost all the industries and everybody is working on that. And some countries are distinctly leading on this. If you go to China and all that is miles ahead. And in US and all that, maybe some parts, if you go to Elon Musk's, gigafactory and all that, it is digital is there. Now coming to Sun Pharma, there are parts. So pharma industry per se, regulators were more keen on paper. Because they wanted sign, you must sign on this compliance report and all that. So you have to comply and all that, but now regulators are changing. Look, these regulators are US FDA. So because if they don't agree with you, you can have the best digital transformed thing, but they'll not accept. They will still want paper, right? So that is why you have to align. They are also changing, we are also changing, but there are parts in the company which are ahead of it. If you look at our sales function and all that, is where we actually, when today our medical rep goes to a doctor, doesn't go with a paper, which used to be before, a few years before, that the faida of Volini. That faida of Volini, the guy will not, now it will be, benefits, nice video and all that, the person can show on the iPad. So this is how different, different parts of the company, different industries are there. We are also investing quite a lot on it, data, tech, AI and all that. In fact, I'll be surprised if somebody is not, because that is essential for survival of a country, of company, and of all of you also. So if you see some of the things which we said, better every day, take charge, very critical that each of you, the future, only those guys will really survive and all that who can adapt. And you can make AI and ML and all that your friend. You don't need to code yourself, but you need to see whatever you are doing, you are able to be very well versed in using some of these technologies in your daily life. That is there. Yeah.
We'll open the floor for questions.
I am Naneshwar Maske for targeting JBIMS. So just I want to know Ajat ki before joining management training at Sun Pharma, we as a just know the basic or medium level of medical science basic, and also before few months Novartis name pharmaceutical company, they organize their case competition in which they just like research us on just like R&D, and they expect marketing students to do that. So it is essential for us to do basic or advanced level of medical science knowledge before joining management training at Sun Pharma?
So look, there are parts of the organization, if you are part of sales organization, if they are part of sales organization or some marketing organization, or maybe somewhere in manufacturing, those would be the only ones which may require some degree, some knowledge of pharma and that all. But if you see, large part of the other organization doesn't require degree. So if I have to give, I have zero clue of B Pharma and all that. And if you see some of the leaders, our manufacturing leader we recently hired globally, a global head of manufacturing comes from FMCG. Our supply chain person is also FMCG or grown within. Commercial people are grown within. So I would not think that this is a key requirement. This is a requirement mainly by, if it is by law or by some of those things in only certain sections. So that is which has been there. So look, historically in the past, we were, there was a thing that you need beef, if you have done B Pharma is the industry to go. But if you see in last few years, most of the companies have changed to, and you'll be hearing a lot about it across the world, skill. So everybody is looking at skill. If you can do great data analytics, everything is broken down into distinct skills. And we are looking at where and who is the best person in this skill available. If that person is available anywhere in the world, any college and that all, we'll get that person from there, rather than constrict ourselves to only pharma, right? So that is the thing.
Hi sir, my name is Imran. I am from IIM Mumbai, PGPX. You have said one thing that Dilip Sanghvi sir is the current MD and he is the founder also. And you also said one thing about him that he wants everyone to do everything. So in that perspective, I have one question. So how does Sun Pharma balances the bureaucracy and agile in its day-to-day operations and strategy?
So I understand from what context you are putting here. So there are two different things here. Imran, right? So what is agility? Agility is to do things faster. If a bureaucratic process can help you achieve it faster, as a company, we will have that setup. If it requires that why you need 2 levels or 4 levels, you need only 1 level, that only we will set up. But yes, as you grow in the organization, sometimes you have to ensure that processes are set up so that things come on autopilot. That requires bureaucracy. But yeah, it's not an easy or a direct answer to say. But I'll just give a personal anecdote. I have worked in startups. I have worked in a bigger firm. So Sun Pharma technically was the first big firm that I had joined. we still work in a startup mode. If things have to be done, it will get done. If it requires, like we are, Sun Pharma or a pharmaceutical is a very heavily regulated industry we operate. So we will get all the processes done, we will get all the approvals done in due course of time. But we will work in a startup mode and we are still working, at least that's what I believe.
So Imran, so one this thing, so हम थोड़ा सा ना वैसी company है, मतलब in terms of we are still an entrepreneurial company and decisions happen so fast. Then I say यार ये तो सोचा ही नहीं हमने, ये क्यों सोच रहे हो आप ऐसे से? Actually, we have a reverse problem. Decisions happen so fast that I am trying to bring some bureaucratization and some this thing, because bureaucratization helps you to think through 5 different elements. Because the thing is that Dilip Bhai is there today, but look, no one is immortal in life, right? He exactly knows that in that factory, on that corner, so, that is where everybody is on tenterhook, because he will always know more about the company than anybody in the company. Because he has been there in each factory, he exactly knows which machine, which this thing, so he can take decision very fast. So that is why you will see, actually, there is a very interesting study that all the entrepreneur-led, founder-led companies in the world, they outperform their local stock market average of this thing. So if you take S&P 500, so all the Teslas of the world, or all these, or Meta, Facebook and all that, they all have performed better than the average, because founder is very agile, but the founder cannot live forever. That is when you need to this thing, because the next person who will come will never know so much. So then you need to have processes and all that, so that things don't collapse. So that's why you will see that a lot of companies, after 3rd, 4th generation collapse. So you need processes and all that, as Kunal mentioned, to ensure that things continue, and a lot of things happen on autopilot. And look, just this thing that Dilip Bhai is, his belief is everyone can do everything. And I am always trying to counter him that, look, everybody need not want to do everything in life, because then you have to work harder, right? If you are learning 5 different disciplines, over 5 years, you will be working 24 hours a day. And then your spouse will tell you, कि भैया either you choose, your job or your me, right? So that is where, so practicalities of life come in.
Hi, I'm Avantika. I'll be joining Exila Rai. So my question is a little industry specific. It's not about the company. You spoke about the CAGR of the pharma industry to be at 12% in India, 6% globally. I wanted to understand, are people becoming healthier, or are they becoming more prone to falling sick? What's driving the growth exactly?
If you look at the way pharma industry has also grown, Indian pharma was predominantly generics. Now people have ventured into specialty, and now there are digital therapeutics coming. So ultimately it's all about how our patients are performing, if I have to use that word. Let's talk about an example. I'll take a quick example. 20 years back, a lot of us were doing a lot of physical labor. So our food was different, which was appropriate at that stage. The food habits have not changed, but the way we work has changed. And it's not gonna stop. Either we change our daily habits, which is the tougher part, because everyone has loved sugar, everyone loves to have carbs, everyone loves to load onto fat. Either you take that approach and go on a healthier diet, or you have to take extra supplements. If you have to become healthy, both things will work. You have to change your lifestyle, as well as you will need some medicines at certain stage of your time, because all of us are like machine, right? Like machine needs oiling. We need some extra medicines or extra supplements to keep us better.
My question was a bit COVID specific. So I just want to understand, how did Sun deal with capacity constraints, especially in the CRAMS division? Because on one end you have, say COVID specific drugs, and then you have other OTC drugs which you obviously cannot let go of the supply in the market. So how did you deal with those capacity constraints? I don't know how it works in pharma. Did you also outsource it, or did you over the months, build up more capacity on machines? Just wanted to understand that perspective.
I'll just give a brief of how Sun Pharma is structured firstly. We have drug formulations, we have API. Now API is broadly into 3 segments. One is for our captive consumption, one is what we call third party, which we sell, and then your contract manufacturing and all that, which is CRAMS, what you're calling. CRAMS is not a very significant portion of our overall balance sheet. Even if you go and search, if my memory serves me right, our third-party API is only around 5% of our overall balance sheet, will be like $200 to $50 million odds. So first thing is that it's not a very big, but there is a focus that is going on. Now talking about capacity. So see, there are three segments to it. One is demand, other is capacity, and third is supply. The way you tackle your demand and capacity is very different. That's a long-term approach you need to take. If you have a capacity constraint now, you can't in-source and suddenly increase your capacity. So what will you do? For short term, you will outsource it if it is possible, because there are regulatory aspects to it. Otherwise, you will only produce what you can and you try to increase your capacity, which will take 2-3 years to get all those equipments and land. And third is your C versus S, which is capacity versus supply, where all your these operational things will come in. So if my capacity is high, but I'm not able to supply, then I'll take a very different approach to stuff. In short, CRAMS is a upcoming sector, but we are not very big as of now.
Awesome. This was very interesting and very insightful and great questions asked, guys. I love the depth of some of those questions that were asked. Please have a huge round of applause for our guests.